Hi everybody, hi to the Jackson family. This is a private video for the family members of Michael Jackson. I produced a video last week with Michael, also where he used wind to communicate, where he canalized wind to communicate. I don't know if you have seen the video or not. So Michael is able to canalize wind, to raise the wind level, and to use the wind for communication purpose. That's why we have this wind tool hanging over here, and he can canalize more wind to the wind tool, like he's doing it right now, to present himself, or if he wants to answer yes, for example, then he can do that also. And the wind tool on one side, there's no golden star, and on the other side there's a golden star. So if you watch out for the wind tool, it's turning. That's the side where no golden star is placed. And if you check out the other side, you will see that there is placed a little golden star. So sometimes in the communication it can be possible that Michael is using the side with the golden star to solve specific questions, to say yes. But mostly we're going to communicate in a way that we're going to canalize wind. So I'm going to wait a second, and when the wind tool is hanging loose again, then I'm going to ask Michael the first question. Michael, you want to say hi to your family, that's correct, right? And if that's correct, please canalize more wind to the wind tool so that the wind tool starts to get uplifted and starts to fly in the wind. And if you watch out for the wind tool closely, you can see that more wind now is reaching the wind tool, and Michael is uplifting the wind tool with the wind. Okay, so it's very important to watch out for the wind tool to understand what Michael likes to tell me. I had a conversation before we started the video. I had a conversation with Michael already. We have been in the city Bonn today in Germany. And as I said, we produced the other video last week. And he communicated to me that he wants to do a private video, so a video which is not going to publish. I'm going to try to find an email address of Janet. And then I'm going to send her the link in the text. I'm going to upload the video like that the public can see it, only in a case where I can't find the email address of Janet. So if I don't find any email address where I can send the video to, then I will. Michael, please let the wind tool hang loose again, so that there's not so much wind. And you can see the wind tool was going down. Okay. Michael wants to communicate to you that he had a few good weeks, so a few weeks where he felt very good and where he had a good time. And he's canalizing a lot of wind to make that point clear. Right now to the wind tool, you can see how it's getting uplifted and how it's flying. So the wind level was raised to a much higher wind level. With that, Michael Jackson is agreeing that that is true. So the message is for the family members: he had some good weeks, a good time, and there are other stuff I also want to tell you. I know from him stuff he told me. So I'll wait again, Michael, so that the wind tool is hanging loose again, so that there's not so much wind. I'm just gonna wait a moment, and I'm gonna start to smoke a joint. Sorry for that, but I love smoking it. So there's not much wind at the wind tool at the moment. Michael, you want to communicate to your family members that you have been in America a couple of times in the last weeks. Is that true? Yes, that's true. So you're going to canalize more wind to the wind tool now to agree to the point that he have been in the United States a couple of times in the past weeks with his family members as well. He wants me to add. So you have been with your family members in the past weeks. Is that true? It is true, is what he's communicating by thoughts to me. So then please start to canalize more wind to make that point clear for your family members. And please watch out for the wind too now. Communicating to me that he wants to start again. So same thing. He wants to communicate the same point that something went wrong with the wind. So you want to analyze more wind now, is that true? So you're going to start to do that. He's uplifting the wind to you now for the point where I communicated that he had been with his family members in the States in the past weeks. And he's canalizing a lot of wind for that. So I'm sorry, I'm communicating by calls with Michael separate, and I'm explaining to you what he wants me to speak out for you, and then I'll also have to watch out for the wind tool and make that point transparent. So I'm sorry, sometimes in the beginning of the communication, I just started the communication today with Michael how he's using wind. We communicated before, but he wasn't using wind. So in the beginning, when he starts to communicate by canalizing, triggering wind, it's highly likely possible that he needs a few moments, 10, 15 minutes, something like that, to optimize himself. And that can lead to a situation when the beginning of the communication it is not so specific and not so clear when it's getting there. Michael wants to agree to that. We're going to canalize more wind, and he showed me the golden star into the wind. He's canalizing more wind, and he's going to use even a little bit more wind than that to make that point clear. And you can see he's doing that. So he uplifted the wind to the wind. Okay. Michael wants me to communicate that his family members should know that he loves to be with them. He loves to stay with the family. That he enjoys the time when he's with them. So that's correct, Michael. He's communicating by thoughts now with me, and he's telling me that's correct. He turned the wind tool around, so I don't know if you have seen that the golden star was presented. If you want to agree, just uplift the wind tool again. So send more wind, and you can see he's doing that. He's sending more wind, and he's uplifting the wind tool. It's getting pushed against this metal structure where the wind tool is placed. Give me a moment, I'm going to communicate with him by person, so I want to find out what else he wants to tell me, so that I know that I can answer the correct questions. He communicates to me, he mainly wanted to do that video here, to make that point clear that he's with you, the family members sometimes, not always, but sometimes often. Is what he communicates, and what often was what he communicated by thought to me. And he wanted to produce this video to make clear that he's happy when he can be with his family members, that his family members understand that. And he's going to uplift the wind tool again. He's canalizing now more wind into this area. And he's canalizing to the wind tool, and he's doing that. So he's uplifting the wind tool, and he's pushing it again into this metal structure. You could see how uplifted it was. He's doing that again, and now he's uplifting the wind tool higher so that you can see that. Hopefully later on the cameras you can see everything. Sometimes realize that if you are in the live situation, if you would be me sitting here, you can hear the wind, you feel it on your skin, so you realize a lot of little points. And me and Michael also realized that when we reached the other point, we were doing the cuts together on the PC. So he was connected to my human body, he was in my human body at that time, did the cuts for the video. And then he also realized again what I already know and what I realized a couple of times in the past years where I've used applications, is that it's much more difficult to see that it is communication and to make the communication transparent in a video. If you watch the video, it's much more difficult to see and to realize what's going on compared to a situation where it would be presented to you live. So where you could feel the wind on your skin, where you could hear the noises, plants to start to produce if wind is getting paralyzed and all these factors. So the cameras do not capture all of that. Michael, you agree to that, right? You have the same experience, right? He's turning the wind tool a bit, so he showed the golden star in the direction to my eyes, but he wants to uplift the wind tool to make that point here. So he's canalizing now more wind through the wind tool, and you can see that it's getting uplifted a bit. But if you want to make that point really clear, I would use more wind. So I would use a stronger wind. Especially if you want to make the point clear that the cameras do not capture it, so it's better to use more. He's agreeing to that. So that's what I can see. I'm only watching the wind tool. There was no thought in my head for me at that second. But I could see the wind tool was standing a little bit in the wind, and then it got uplifted a centimeter or so. So not very far, a centimeter. But if you are used to watch it out on the wind tool, and if you get used to this kind of communication, you can realize and see even little differences. What you cannot if you are not used to that kind of communication, and if you just have watched 2-3 videos, then it will be very difficult to see the difference. So I just asked Michael and my thoughts, is there more stuff you want to communicate? And he's saying definitely. He wants to make the point clear that he loves his family. And he's canalizing more wind for that point. He's uplifting the wind tool now, and he's going to let the wind tool fly in the wind. And that's what the camera is capturing. So he's canalizing more and more wind into the whole area over here. I can see that when I watch the trees also, which are behind the cameras. And you can see that he's canalizing also more wind to the wind tool. Because he wants to make that point very clear for his family that they know that Michael is loving being family. And especially we want to say hi to Jen. And you could see when I spoke it out, he's uplifting the wind tool directly to say yes, to agree to that. They're going to enjoy the wheat for a second, and they're going to drink a sip of cola, and then they'll keep going with the communication. Normally, me and Michael, this is where we are. The area where I am right now is Bonn, so it's a village on a hill, on a little mountain, the site of Bonn, city of Bonn. And me and Michael, we originally wanted to go to the Rheinau, which is a huge park in Bonn. So I traveled with him by bus to Bonn, and then I wanted to buy some weed. And the guy I had to meet, he was in another area, so we had to travel to the other district. And then we went back. And on the way back, we decided that we're going to produce the video here in Ueckersdorf instead of the Rheinau. The Rheinau is very beautiful because you have lakes there and nice effects because of the nice environment. but I think here it's also okay. It's not so beautiful like the rhino. The rhino is where me and Michael produced the other video. So the first video from last week, from the first of this week. Michael, do you want to do identification one more time? Yes, he would like to do that. So watch out for the wind tool now. You're gonna canalize more wind to make the point clear that you have the identification. Please, so it's Michael Jackson. So can you uplift the wind tool a little bit more? And you did uplift it a little bit. I would uplift it even more than that, or I would push it. I don't know, one of these two. He wants to do that one more time so that we have it here. I just want to give you.
Hallo.
Hi.
Jetzt bin ich mal gespannt. Was machen Sie?
Ich drehe eine Doku zum Thema Vorfahren und Ahnenkommunikation.
Das ist ja witzig.
Kommunikation mit Verstorbenen.
Ah, okay. Wegen der Statue war ich gerade.
Ja,
gespannt.
ja.
Ja, viel Erfolg.
Ja, danke.
Schönen Tag Ihnen, ja?
Ja, gleichfalls. So sorry. Man just asked me what you in German. And I explained to him that ancestors communication or call it. So communication with that's what I just explained to him. And these situations can be very weird. That was cool, that was alright that moment. But sometimes if I'm in front of the camera doing that, practicing that, sometimes people come and ask for a question. That can be cool and okay, but it can be also, I had some weird moments, let me say it like that, not today, but when I remember the past, because there are a lot of people on planet Earth which do not know that creatures which have lived as human beings before can present themselves by influencing the natural environment, for example, the wind. And there are a lot of people which just don't believe it. And it's not nice if you get asked to explain what you do and then they judge you. And that's the experience I had very often in the past. Not too often, happy for that, but often. So it can be a little bit weird. So Michael, sorry. Let's go back to the point. The wind tool is hanging very loose. You could see when I spoke out, there was not much wind here, which is a good situation because now Michael can start to canalize more wind into this area to identify himself one more time absolutely clearly so that you have a very good identification. Because that's one of the most important things, besides the fact that he wanted to tell you that he loves you guys. So Michael is canalizing now a little bit more into the wind tool. That's why the wind tool was starting to shake like that. But I would say, if you want to identify yourself as Michael Jackson, can you uplift the wind tool? So can you push it with wind that it's getting uplifted? And for the people, watch out, he did that. You could see the wind tool was hanging loose. And he did uplift it until it was pushed into the metal structure. And he's even pushing it now one more time for you to watch out for that. Okay? So with that, you have the identification that the creature I'm communicating with is communicating that Janet is your brother, and the creature is communicating with Michael Jackson. As you maybe know if you have followed my data for a while, my videos, I'm also connected with the creature who was my mother. So who have lived as my mom before her human body died. And in between when I did the other video and today also I did ask my mom if she can identify Michael also as Michael Jackson. And she communicated to me that it's him. So that's what I'm often doing, not always, but often when I produce documentations with creatures which have to identify themselves. Then I often try to get their identification, and I also try to get the opinion from other creatures, which are ghosts, so that they also check out the identity. Because that can be important, because sometimes there can be misunderstandings, that's the first point. But it's also sometimes possible that creatures come and identify as someone else. That's already what happened. But I just explained to you, I also communicated with my mom to get her opinion, and she also communicated to me that it's Michael. And Michael, we met years ago. Years ago we produced the first video for his sister Janet. You remember that, right? And he wants to communicate, yes. That's why he's uplifting the wind tool now. He's going to start to push it a little bit more. And if you watch closely, you can see that. He's just uplifting it a little bit. Just a little bit. In the direction of the light. It's just a tiny bit. So sometimes, me, Niall, from my experience with Michael, sometimes I can identify him good, sometimes not so good, and sometimes he can be in my body, be connected to my body, communicate with me without identifying himself, and then it can even be a situation where I can't recognize him. So how I do recognize Michael is by different things. The one thing is the identification, of course. But the other thing is all the creatures which do communicate with me, or these ghosts, the spirits, they have a different kind of communication, individual communication, and an individual way how they behave when they communicate. So there are differences between the different ghosts. They do not all communicate the same way, the same style, the same method and stuff like that. And so sometimes in the past I could identify you, Michael, very good, and he's agreeing to that. He's canalizing now more wind into this area, and he's uplifting the wind tube because he's agreeing to that. And I was in a situation in the past that I could identify very well. And today I would say I'm happy with the identification, I'm happy with the feedback I got from my mom. So which was the same identification. She said, yes, that's Michael Jackson. And I could recognize you a little bit, like from the behavior. But we were just busy traveling in the bus and stuff. So we were not communicating so much today in a way that we got very personal. We were communicating about the thing that I should in the video. And he was communicating with me in the bus that I should tell you guys, his family, that he loves you, that he loves to be with you when he's over in the States, and you still produce music. That's also correct, right? Yes, that's correct. So, do you want to make that point clear for your family? Maybe, I don't know if they're interested. That was, I brought it up. Do you want to make that point clear? Yes, you would like to do that. You would like to make that point clear. So, we're gonna uplift the wind tune again by wind to agree to the fact that he's still producing music sometimes in the States, and that he still loves it to produce music, that he still enjoys being a musician. And you can see if you watch the wind tune closely on this camera, or the view I'm talking about finger at, the wind tune was hanging like this, loose, and then he pushed it in the direction of the metal structure with a little bit. He's doing that again. So watch out for that. You could see that the wind tune was shaking because a little bit of wind reached it. So, as I said, Michael, for your family members, I would use a little bit more wind, that they always can see the difference very well. For me, because I'm so used to communication where creatures use wind and use the natural environment to communicate with me, it's easy to, not always, but often it's easy to recognize for the music point as well. You can see where spoke it out for the music point. He's pushing it. He's canalizing now more wind to the area, and that was much better. With the little movement we did before, the camera still filmed it, but I'm sure your family members still cannot read, they cannot see it. So if you use a little bit more wind, that's better for your family. Have you produced anything what's in the charts at the moment? No. No is the answer. You want to say no, so he's gonna uplift. You can see that the wind tool is hanging loose, and you want to say no to the question if you produced anything in the past time, like in the past when he was alive. I mean, in the last weeks or so, he did not produce any songs which are in the charts. That was right? And it is right, and for that, please canalize some more wind. Make it more clear. He's gonna do that, but at the moment there was no wind in the area. Now I can see that Michael is canalizing more wind in this area, even if it's not reaching the wind tool yet, because the plants did start to shake a bit, like the leaves of the tree in the background. The one camera is filming the wind tool mainly, and with that you can see the plants in the background as well. So would you like to produce another track for the chance? Like another number 1 hit or something during your career as a host? You want to say yes? That would be fun. Okay, he communicated more stuff to me, other stuff. I'm gonna start to communicate about that, to speak about that to you in a second. But let's finish the one point. We would love to do another music track, which then becomes a number 1 hit or a big hit globally, right? And he's agreeing to that. He's shaking the wind tool with more wind. And if you can, please uplift it a little bit. Please canalize the wind in a way that the wind tool is getting uplifted. And you could see when I requested that, he did shake the wind tool again, but he also did uplift the wind tool a little bit into this direction. Okay, sorry Michael, now I forgot the other stuff you wanted to tell me, or you told me. I should tell his family members that Michael likes to produce music with birds. With animals, by traveling into the animal garden and by connecting in biosymbiosis to the brain of the animal, and by them influencing the animal in a way that the animal produces a special sound or music naturally. So Michael, you want to make that point clear for your family, right? You want to, yes. So you're gonna canalize more and more wind now to the wind tool. You're going to start to do that, and with that you're going to communicate to you guys that it's correct that he likes to produce music with animals. See how he's agreeing to that, and with birds especially. Birds and other animals. So not only birds, but birds and other animals. And he's agreeing to that again by sending another one. Is there anything else you would like to tell your family members? Michael wants to apologize. He wants to apologize for the fact that he did not use the wind always on a good level. So, which makes it harder for you, the family members, to realize that it's communication and to understand it. So he wants to apologize that this video was not, and the other one was not very good. We are training. That's what he's communicating at the moment. He's training to produce better video material in the future. So he will train with the wind tool a little bit, and he will try to produce videos which are more clear for the people which are watching it. That is what you wanted me to communicate, is that correct? He's communicating to me, yes, That's true. It's correct. And he's communicating to me that he just wanted to say that he feels sorry for sometimes the limited options you do have to communicate. Even if you have so much options by using LinkedIn, so sometimes it's difficult, and he's apologizing for the fact that some of the videos are hard to watch, not so easy to understand, stuff like that. He's agreeing to that. Please push the wind tool a little bit more. And watch out for the wind tool. He's pushing it now a little bit more. More. Yeah! And now he's pushing it into the metal structure with a lot of it. That's what you can see. So, Michael's asking me my thoughts again, if we can produce another video for your family. Showing the golden star by turning the into the direction of my face. We can produce another video. And for the family members, I'm going to produce with Michael Jackson over the summer. I don't know when. But we're going to produce maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 more videos for the family members. Because there's more Michael Jackson we would like to share with you. And today we started very late. It's already 6 o'clock in the evening. So next time we're going to be earlier during the day. And then we're going to do a longer video. And then we can solve, or Michael then can communicate more stuff. He would like, that's what he communicates to me at the moment by thoughts. He would like to talk with you about how it is to use bodies, like that you get a better understanding of it, how it feels and how it is to be in a situation that you can use bodies, influence bodies, like the bodies of his family members, but how difficult the situation is and can be, because you don't want to do anything wrong to the people he's influencing or he's connecting. So that's something he would like to speak about with you, his family members, because that's something which is on his heart in a way, let me say it like that, because he's sometimes connected with you guys, and he's agreeing to that. You could see when I spoke about the question, about the topic, there was much more wind in the area, and there was